I would like to open the November 15th, 2022 Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting. Our first item, we have a quorum. Let the record show that we have a quorum. And we will move on now to approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Oh, second.
I'm sorry, who moved first?
You did.
We'll say I moved it. Why not? Yeah.
All right. It has been moved by Commissioner Martin with a second by Commissioner Hukim to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The agenda is approved 4-0. Moving on now to approval of the minutes of October 25th, 2022. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Coulter with a second by Commissioner Hukim to approve the October 25th, 2022 HRA Board meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Moving on to organizational business, item 4.1, new staff introduction.
Thank you. I just want to reflect that Commissioner Thorson has joined us, and so we have a full board. We already had quorum, but now we have a full board. So new staff introduction. I'd like to introduce you to a new staff member that has joined the city and as program specialist too in the HRA, a part of the Community Development Department, Kaba Nyagato. Kaba joins us from being in the private banking industry of doing underwriting and loan mortgage modifications and work, as well as being in the nonprofit sector, working with disenfranchised communities and individuals in the mortgage industry. Kaba actually is born and raised in Gambia in Africa, and I'd just like to call him up to just say a few things about himself to you all.
Good evening. As my boss introduced me, my name is Kaba Nyagato. I come from the small West African country of the Gambia in West Africa. As an international student more than 2 decades ago, I went to University of St. Thomas, Minnesota State University, Mankato. I had a career in the mortgage industry. Like she said, I worked in underwriting, loss mitigation, compliance administration, default management. I also work in the nonprofit sector, trying to modify mortgages for distressed borrowers from 2007 through 2009. And I've been at Wells Fargo again. That was from 2013 through 2022. I worked as a senior systems quality assurance analyst for their underwriting systems, basically looking at the parameters of the design of our underwriting systems for loan modifications. I applied for this job, and I am glad that I had not, and I am here, so excited, so pumped up to deliver for the citizens of Bloomington.
Thank you, Kaba. And Kaba will primarily focus on our home buyer and homeowner lending programs.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 4.2, housing programs update. And we have the staff report.
Absolutely. Kaba will be providing the housing programs update with myself this evening.
Okay. The topics we'll be covering tonight would be the Housing Choice Voucher, HRA-owned single-family homes, home improvement loan programs, homelessness prevention and response services, home ownership programs, and upcoming items. Housing choice voucher, 448 Bloomington voucher participants, 66 port out voucher participants, it means people living outside of Bloomington, 2 foster youth to independence, 10 vouchers have been awarded, 2 veteran affairs supportive housing, VASH 5 vouchers have been awarded. New voucher holders, we have 6 additional vouchers awarded through funding from HUD. 7 have been issued, looking to lease with an eligible property. Allowed current waitlist applicants the opportunity for a voucher.
This is something that was notified. We were notified out of the blue by HUD and said, hey, you have 6 vouchers. You need to fill them. Here's funding for 6 vouchers. So we were notified to pull from our waiting list. These were not to find extra people to apply, but to pull from our waiting list. And so far, we have 7 issued. So what that means is that the 6 that they granted us, we pulled from our waiting list. Those people are currently out looking for an eligible property to rent. And then with program changes, there was 1 household that did go off of the program. Therefore, we ended up having a 7th household to be issued.
HRA owns single-family homes. We have 41 houses in 2 programs. Assisted rental, project-based housing choice voucher program, rental homes for future home buyers, 5-year path to home ownership. We are continuing with capital and energy efficiency improvements on towns, reviewing and updating program materials and engagement. Home improvement loan programs. Single family rehab. We have 48 applications pending review. We have 13 clients in intake and verification, 20 clients in bidding, 18 loan closings, construction, 46 loan payoffs. Housing and environmental loan program help. Forgivable emergency loan, referrals from environmental health, B&I, or a red tag system. Staff reviewing program currently for recommendations to amend: 1, interest, 2, equity limits, 3, asset limits, 4, subordination policy, and 5, forgivable component.
We wanted to bring this before you to just kind of give you an update that, 1, we were down a staff member, and so the work of the home improvement program has fallen primarily to 1 staff, Stephen Schmidt, and these numbers are the work Stephen Schmidt has been working on, as well as our other support staff in the HRA assisting with that. And so again, Kaba joining our team, this will be the work that he'll also be able to help and assist with. But we are also looking at, based on the approval of the HRA assessment, our mission as an HRA to help those not adequately served by the marketplace, and then having Stephen and Kaba look at the loan programs that they are administering through rehab in particular, and asking the question, are we fulfilling the need of helping those that are not adequately served by the marketplace? And when we ask that question, there is staff recommendations to review our policies on charging interest, on our equity limits, asset limits, subordination, and is there a forgivable component to our loans? So we're bringing this forward now to just give you an update that we'll be bringing more information back at a later date to discuss staff recommendations and what the board feels we could do with revisions on our programs, if any.
And a brush with kindness, Habitat for Humanity Partnership, 8 applications since January 2022, 2 applications and work complete, 4 applications accepted and are activated, 2 applications need more information, serving all low to moderate income and majority seniors. Staff reviewing for recommendation of amendment and extension. Services agreement extension from December 31st, 2022 to December 31st, 2023. increasing per household funds. There is a need for more flexibility. Increasing services agreement amount to serve more households.
So again, this is another update that we will come back at a later date with those recommendations for the program. And then the map is just actually giving you just a quick snippet of where these 8 properties are throughout Bloomington that Habitat for Humanity is working with Under a Brush with Kindness program for Bloomington.
Next is the homelessness response and prevention. 9 issued vouchers, 3 households assisted in emergency temporary housing in partnership with the Bloomington Public Schools, non-profit service providers, VEAP, emergency rental assistance and food shelf support, CLUES, rental, mortgage, and utility assistance, CMRS/SACN, housing navigation services. Bloomington State of Homelessness Assessment underway, completion by April 2023. Home ownership programs. Homes within reach, WHAHLT, HRA owned lot MOU funding applications, additional community development block grant funding to complete 3 homes in the program year 2022. Habitat for Humanity, new affordable home ownership development opportunities, home buyer mortgage assistance, home buyer education. There is a seminar on, I think that should be tomorrow, November 16th at the Center for the Arts, home ownership preservation program.
So a little bit about the homeownership programs. The Homes Within Reach, the HRA-owned lot that we do have an MOU. Minnesota Housing received an application from Walt. They have not announced their awards yet, so we are waiting to hear. So that's where the MOU is at with that lot. For CDBG, the program year, as you know, runs from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. So they are not running up against the time clock to not complete the 3 homes within the program year because it's not a calendar year, it's a fiscal year. Habitat for Humanity, we are exploring additional options to produce new single-family homes for home ownership with Habitat for Humanity. And then our homebuyer mortgage assistance, this is our down payment assistance that has launched. Our homebuyer education is a seminar tomorrow, and our homeownership preservation program has launched with Minnesota Homeownership Center. So what this next slide is actually the flyers, but they're also on our webpage, and they're also on the webpage of our partners. So Bloomington Homeownership Preservation Program is with Minnesota Homeownership Center. This is the flyer that has been put out that's advertised on our webpage as well as their own dedicated webpage. And when you go to the Homeownership Center webpage, it literally says Bloomington Residents. It's a button they can click on to get to this page and help with preservations or foreclosure prevention. Then the Bloomington Homebuyer Mortgage Assistance Program, as you know, this is the program that you did approve the guidelines before they went to City Council that is funded by ARP, American Rescue Plan Act dollars. This is specific for Bloomington residents, and it is on the NeighborWorks Home Partners webpage as well as our webpage. And then the Journey to Homeownership Workshop, which is a partnership with Project for Pride in Living and U.S. Bank, will be held tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. in the Center for Arts Rehearsal Hall. This is also advertised on our webpage and is advertised through the briefing, as well as these other programs were as well, for people to register on Eventbrite. And so I just wanted to give you those quick snapshots, but people can go to our Bloomington HRA webpage and click on Homeownership Resources, and all of these items are listed, plus more around homeownership resources. And then upcoming, wanted to kind of give you just a highlight because the work plan will be coming forward. And so upcoming in 2023, just a highlight of the task and items we have, Yardi software implementation. This was the approval that you provided for our property management, property management and maintenance software, which includes our Housing Choice Voucher program. there's a lot that we will be able to get off of paper and come into the 21st century. Property management and maintenance transition. This is the approval you have approved for NAF property management for our HRA-owned properties that we do rent out, so assisted rental and rental homes for future home buyers. This way, staff is freed up to not do the property work, but necessarily more of the one-to-one client work that they have been doing, but it's been split up with the property, so this will be increasing that. Housing Choice Voucher Administrative Plan, we are proposing a significant update. What this means is there is a format through NAM-McKay that we were able to purchase and use that aligns and gets updated for all the HUD regulations, but also being able to align better regionally. So with other housing and redevelopment authorities and our public housing authorities, their admin plans, so that when people are coming here to Bloomington or they're leaving Bloomington and going someplace else, the rules aren't completely different, or at least in a totally different format. Homeownership education, partnership, and offerings. Through the assessment and the approval of the assessment, we will be growing the homeownership education partnerships and offerings, culturally specific, as well as focus on our Bloomington renters to really grow that. Affordable homeownership and development. This includes the single-family development, but also programming. And where that comes in is expanding and expounding upon our current programs of rental homes for future home buyers, down payment assistance, different things that we already have in place, but expanding on that. Home improvement loan program updates, as I mentioned, Brush with Kindness, HELP, and our rehab, single-family rehab. And then the state of homelessness assessment should be completed with a recommendation from our consultant in 2023. And so these are just a few of the items that are upcoming. And with that, we can take any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions or comments? Thank you for the update. That sounds like we're going to have a really exciting year coming up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 4.3, the 2023 HRA Board Meeting Calendar. May we have the staff report?
Absolutely, thank you. So for the 2023 calendar, I thought I would bring it forward now and not wait till 2023. So I have put together the calendar and made sure that it aligns better with how the Planning Commission calendar or the City Council calendar look, just so it's ease of access and review. I also am proposing 23 meetings, not 24. I'm just going ahead and saying the meeting that happens, I believe, the day after the Christmas holiday. We're just not going to schedule a regular meeting at that time. And so I would be looking for any discussion or conversation and a motion to approve.
Are there any questions for Administrator Coleman? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the 2023 HRA Board Meeting Calendar?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Martin with a second by Commissioner Hukim to approve the 2023 HRA Board Meeting Calendar. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Item 4.4, 2023 Final HRA Budget and Tax Levy. May we have the staff report?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair Lewis. So before you is the request for 3 different motions. 2 of the motions are the typical of our annual budget process, approving the final budget as well as approving the tax levy. The third is to approve a joint powers agreement with the Port Authority of the City of Bloomington. And so on September 27th, the board approved a resolution approving our preliminary budget and establishing our preliminary tax levy for 2023 and authorizing submission of the 2023 proposed levy certification and budget to Hennepin County. You also authorized staff to prepare a joint powers agreement with the Port Authority to provide up to $1.4 million of its levy funds to be used by the port for development and redevelopment in the City of Bloomington. And so there are no proposed changes to the budget from the September 27th approval of the preliminary budget. We are looking to levy at the set maximum dollar amount of $2,776,969 for 2023. And the Bloomington City Council will vote to approve the levy at their meeting on December 5th, 2022, pending this body's action. Attached to the agenda item is the proposed joint powers agreement. As I said, the agreement outlines the up to $1.4 million, the same amount authorized under the previously proposed port levy, to be transferred from the HRA to the Port Authority Development Fund to pay for the development and redevelopment services as proposed and approved in the HRA assessment. The Port Authority is only able to expend HRA funds on overlapping powers or, as termed in the agreement, common powers. The common powers include levying taxes, establishing tax increment financing districts, bonding, borrowing, undertaking redevelopment projects, and owning parking ramps. The agreement is in effect until the funds are fully expended by the Port Authority and in no event beyond December 31st, 2024. And so I will look for any discussion or questions and entertain motions.
Are there any questions for Administrator Coleman? Hearing no questions, we'll do the first motion. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution approving the budget for year 2023 pursuant to MSA Section 469.033, Subdivision 6 for the Housing and Redevelopment Authority in and for the City of Bloomington? Is there a second?
Second.
Right, was it Commissioner Thorson?
No,
Or-
Coulter.
Coulter. It has been moved by Commissioner Coulter with a second by Commissioner Hukim to approve the resolution approving the budget for year 2023 pursuant to MSA Section 469.033, Subdivision 6 for the Housing and Redevelopment Authority in and for the City of Bloomington. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will now call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes 5-0. Moving on to the second motion, do I hear a motion to approve resolution establishing the tax levies for year 2023 for the Housing and Redevelopment Authority in and for the City of Bloomington?
So moved.
Second.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Hukim with a second by Commissioner Martin to approve the resolution establishing the tax levies for year 2023 for the Housing and Redevelopment Authority in and for the City of Bloomington. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Last motion. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution approving a joint powers agreement with the Port Authority of the City of Bloomington?
So moved.
There's
Second.
second. Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Martin with a second by Commissioner Thorson to approve the resolution approving a joint powers agreement with the Port Authority of the City of Bloomington. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to new business, item 5.1, Oxborough Heights redevelopment. May we have the staff report?
Absolutely. I actually have a presentation because I believe it's probably easier to follow. And so, what we have before you is proposed tax increment finance housing district for Oxborough Heights Housing Project. So what has happened thus far? The calendar of events are on October 3rd, the City Council moved to approve the project. The County Commissioner was sent the notice of the TIF public hearing as well on October 3rd. On October 14th, the County Commission and the School Board were notified of the public hearing. And on November 3rd, the Planning Commission found that the proposed TIF was consistent with long-range plans in the city And on November 14th, the City Council did hold a public hearing and approved a resolution approving the TIF District and Housing Development Project. Where we are today is we are here at the HRA Board to review and approve review and approval of the TIF District, the development agreement, and the revolving loan fund. So this would be the entering into the agreements with the developer. This body is authorizing that to be able to happen. So I just wanted to provide where it is. This is 600 West 93rd Street. It does include 3 different parcels. They are replatted into 2 parcels. So as you can see, there's the vacant lot at 600 West 93rd and then 9216 Garfield, which was approved yesterday evening at a public hearing for the variance, and then a single family lot, private owned lot at 520 West 93rd that is being purchased by the developer. So project highlights. This is 125 units senior housing at 55 plus. Due to the great work of staff in community development and the Port Authority, they have gone back and renegotiated with the developer to get deeper affordability than what was initially proposed. And so we have today 9 units at 30% AMI, 23 units at 50% AMI, 43 units at 60% AMI, with 50 units at 70% AMI, and a period of 30 years of affordability. This is a tax credit project as well as tax increment financing request and affordable housing trust fund, and we are getting even more affordability than what we typically get. And so construction is proposed to start in 2023 and go through 2024 and open by January 2025. So what are the affordable rents when we talk about 50, 30, 60% AMI? So this project actually uses income averaging. This is what is allowed by Minnesota Housing to actually not have a cliff, so to speak. And so this project does 30%, 50%, 60%, and 70%, which is really helpful because it is quite easy to get over the 60% mark, and then you are out of compliance with the housing financing, so you would not be able to live in that unit. And so these are the rents for the efficiency 1 and 2 bedrooms that are being proposed as of 2022. And I just want to highlight that because the rents are based on what is affordable at 30, 50, or 60% of area median income. And in Minnesota, area median income for a household of 4 is $118,200. So the financing consideration that this body is taking under consideration to approve is that the total project cost after the incentives applied by the Opportunity Housing Ordinance is about $38.1 million. The total project cost per unit, it comes out to $305,000. So to create a unit, it's $305,000 in this project. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund loan request is $2.125 million at an interest rate of 3.5%. With the debt service covered by tax increment, what would be coming back to the city would be $3.27 million over the course of the TIF agreement. The public-private ratio of financing is 9.4%, and then the percent of total project costs are 8.5%. This is the financing consideration for the public financing, the public subsidy that's being requested. So we like to always include this. I always thank my colleague Jason Schmidt because he came up with this and has used it, and it's tried and true. And so this is just a visual of we are starting out at the base value of the property and where the TIF district is being created. And then the green, I was going to call it isosceles, the green triangle is the increment that would be collected over the period of time. And then after the TIF district is terminated, then it is broken up between the taxing jurisdictions that goes to different paid agencies. So the statutory findings that are needed to approve the TIF district, this is a housing TIF district. And so it needs to qualify as a housing TIF district. And it does, because it needs to have at least 20% of the units occupied by individuals whose income is 50% or less, or at least 40% of the units occupied by individuals whose income is 60% or less. However, this developer is proposing 60% of the units will be affordable to individuals whose incomes are at 60% or less, and 25% of the units affordable to individuals whose incomes are at 50% or less. So they're going above and beyond. The proposed development, in the opinion of the city, would not reasonably be expected to occur solely through private investment within the reasonably foreseeable future. And so this is known as the but-for test, and that the development of the vacant parcels and adjoining single-family parcel with the proposed level of affordable units, including 9 units at 30% AMI limitations, would not have occurred but for the financing request and provided through tax increment financing. So the statutory findings to approve the TIF district, the TIF plan will afford maximum opportunity consistent with the sound needs of the city as a whole. So the authority has analyzed the development pro forma and was able to negotiate for a deeper level of affordability, as I previously mentioned, based on the project level of tax increment financing, therefore maximizing the opportunity for the site. And the Planning Commission did adopt a resolution supporting the statement that the TIF plan conforms to general plans for development of the city as whole on November 3rd, 2022. And so as it aligns with our comprehensive plan, it specifically aligns with Goal 2 of providing a range of housing choices, identifying and locations and opportunities for new housing and mixed-use developments, and then Goal 3 of providing affordable housing to serve local demand. As you know, in the HRA assessment, one of the growing populations was our seniors, but was also underserved. And so providing a senior development helps with that on multiple sides as we look at life cycle housing and keeping our residents here in Bloomington. But also in our housing study that was done by Maxfield, it was noted that we needed affordable senior units of 193 deep affordability and then 537 of shallow. So we are working towards that with this development. So what are the next calendar of events? November 28th, the City Council will be considering a resolution at their meeting on the fourth and last draw of the revolving loan fund agreement with the HRA. And so, as I mentioned, this project does include 3 different motions and a request. It is for the tax increment financing, so the redevelopment project area, the redevelopment plan, establishing the tax increment financing housing district, and approving the tax increment financing plan, therefore, to enter into the agreement. The development agreement and all documents necessary to carry out the development with the HRA and Oxborough Heights Limited Partnership for this project, but also the approval for the revolving loan fund request. And so what that is that the developer's TIF application proposed to monetize the TIF note with a private lender to receive cash up front for financial closing. And so during the negotiations, it was apparent that the HRA could offer more competitive terms for monetizing the TIF note with a loan from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and obtain additional 30% AMI units. So per the draft development agreement, the projected increment from the new TIF district will be to pay for the debt service of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund loan in the amount of $2,125,000 at an interest rate of 3.5%. It is projected that 95% of the TIF increment in the first 5 years and 80% of the increment in the remaining years would be dedicated to paying off the loan. The amortization schedule projects that the loan will be paid off in 23 years with total payments of $3,268,500. Though it could be sooner if the tax increment exceeds the projections. Excuse me. The additional projected TIF is to pay for administrative costs and to be pooled, which would be saved, for other affordable housing projects meeting the housing TIF requirements. So the City Council will consider a resolution at their November 28th meeting on the fourth and last draw for the revolving loan fund agreement with the HRA to fund the Affordable Housing Trust Fund loan for $5,551,640. This is comprised of the $2,125,000 revolving loan for the Oxborough Heights project and $3,426,460 to be utilized to support city and HRA's priorities related to housing affordability. For further background, the HRA and City Council did enter into a revolving loan fund agreement on December 27, 2019, to make loans to the HRA to fund the Affordable Housing Trust Fund revolving loan. And the reason we're asking for this in this way is that we usually draw the funds down per project, and we have an agreement with the city, who also has an agreement with a lender for the whole $15.2 million pot that was going to fund the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. In that agreement, we are not allowed to draw down within a certain time frame of each other. So if we're going to draw the funds down, we need to draw them down at one time. Additionally, we have to draw the funds, we have the option to draw the funds down before the end of 2022. Otherwise, we'd be required to pay a penalty to extend beyond our drawdown period, which expires 12/31/2022 into 2023. And so we had made the decision with the CFO and discussing that we will want to draw all the funds down now to not pay the penalty, and that the $500,000 that is approved to be dedicated to this by the HRA levy is enough to cover the interest payments on the funds while we continue to look for other projects that align with our city and HRA priorities for affordable housing. So with that, I can stand for any questions, and then we'd be looking for motions. There's 3 different resolutions this evening.
Are there any questions for Administrator Coleman? We're a quiet group tonight. Then I will be looking, we will do the first motion. I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution approving Oxborough Heights redevelopment project area, approving the redevelopment plan therefore, establishing the Oxborough Heights Tax Increment Financing Housing District, and approving a tax increment financing plan therefore.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Hukim with a second by Commissioner Martin to approve the resolution approving Oxborough Heights redevelopment project area, approving the redevelopment plan therefore, establishing the Oxborough Heights Tax Increment Financing Housing District, and approving a tax increment financing plan therefore. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will now call for a vote on the item. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to the second motion. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution approving development agreement and all documents necessary to carry out development agreement between the Housing and Redevelopment Authority in and for the City of Bloomington and Oxborough Heights, limited partnership for Oxborough Heights project located at 600 West 93rd Street? Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Commissioner Coulter with a second by Commissioner Thorson to approve the resolution approving the development agreement and all documents necessary to carry out development agreement between the Housing and Redevelopment Authority in and for the City of Bloomington and Oxborough Heights Limited Partnership for Oxborough Heights project located at 600 West 93rd Street. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. On to the last motion. Do I hear a motion to approve resolution relating to the City of Bloomington's taxable general obligation tax increment revenue bonds, Series 2019C, approving the execution and delivery of a tax increment pledge agreement, Oxborough Heights TIF District, and approving a loan and the execution of documents in connection therewith for a housing development located at 600 West 93rd Street.
So moved.
Second.
Second. It has been moved by Commissioner Martin with a second by Commissioner Coulter to approve the resolution relating to the City of Bloomington's taxable general obligation tax increment revenue bonds, Series 2019C, approving the execution and delivery of a tax increment pledge agreement, Oxborough Heights TIF District, and approving a loan and the execution of documents in connection therewith for a housing development located at 600 West 93rd Street. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to our last item of business, item 6.1, Commissioner questions and comments. Are there any comments? Yes, Commissioner Coulter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, just one brief one. As I'm sure you're all aware, we had an election last week, and I was elected to the Minnesota House of Representatives, which means that I will be resigning from both the City Council and the Bloomington HRA. We're still working out with the lawyers when exactly that will happen. I said last night, I always get a little nervous when I ask the lawyers a question and it takes them a long time to get back to me. But the short answer is that once I resign, that starts a 45-day clock for the council to appoint someone to my seat. And so we're working out exactly what that looks like and when we want that clock to start. It will be sometime after our final council meeting of the year, which is December 19th. Ideally, it would be after our final HRA meeting of the year as well, which is December 27th, I believe. So we will see. But the short answer is that there will be an upcoming vacancy on the HRA because I will be resigning.
Well, congratulations. We'll miss you, but congratulations. All right. Are there any other commissioner questions or comments? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Hukim with a second by Commissioner Martin to adjourn the November 15th, 2022 meeting of the Bloomington Housing and Redevelopment Authority. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Meeting is adjourned.